May I introduce myself? I'm Madeleine Sjosten-Thiel from Vinnova, a Swedish agency for innovation system, and I'm lucky to be the co-organizer of this event. So this afternoon we will start with this session, and I have to see there are so many nice titles of all these different sessions. So we are called now Session 2, Public Sector Units eParticipation. And this is really something I worked for many years now around in Sweden and Europe to discuss what is e-government, what is the role of the public sector, and what is innovation, what is research and funding. But I won't talk to you about that, not myself. I have a very nice panel, or it's not really a panel, but there are speakers. And I will introduce them very shortly to you, and then we will, from the panel side, we will go down and look at our fellow speakers. So, and then I've told each speaker to speak for about 20 minutes, and then we will have 10 minutes for questions from the floor, or from myself, or from other speakers, of course. So we have 1 hour, and I think it will be very fruitful and interesting. And I also would like to introduce my colleague. Many of you know Mr. Johan Lindberg from Vinnova, because we have worked together in the coordination team for e-government and from Norge Citizen and Citizen Services. And he will try to keep the time schedule. That's important. So please, I will introduce Professor Maria Wimmer. You know her. She is a well-known figure on this e-government research arena, one of the very famous scientists, and we would like to have more research persons, of course, in Europe on this issue. And right now, she's working in Germany, in Koblenz. And you have a long CV. I won't, well, it will be on the website. But what is important, and your expertise really, that I acknowledge when I also was the EU project coordinator, you have been in many, many European projects. And therefore, you really have the expertise on how to be a project leader, and also you have a big network, and I look forward to your presentation later. And then, please, I will introduce, we have a Polish speaker from the Ministry of Economics, and your name is now, because we had another speaker, so you may introduce yourself, because I don't have your CV here, so please.
I hope I will be a good replacement for Minister Bogdan, who was supposed to do the presentation for you today. So my name is Sebastian Christoph. I am a director of the Electronic Economy Department in the Ministry of Economy. Well, I'm connected with the Ministry of Economy for more than 12 years, so I know this organization from the very beginning. And lately I was, except being a director and dealing with some policies, I'm a project manager for the central registration of companies online. So it's quite a big project that involves all the municipalities and other ministries. So.
Thank you. We're looking forward to hearing about this. And then, not least or last, or whatever you say, I have another Swedish fellow citizen in this context, Mr. Urban Bertling, from the business side, from Fujitsu. And he has been a long-standing key person in Sweden in developing e-government. But we didn't meet until a year ago, I think, when you started to work on the international scene. So you have been behind lots of the implementation on the e-government side. So we're looking forward to hear what you are going to present also. And of course, this is something that I've been very much involved in the Nordic-Baltic international cooperation. So please, we will step down and leave the floor to you, Urban. Start.
Yes, thank you. I think I will stand up. It feels more comfortable to see you. Thank you for inviting me to this conference. I'm very obliged about that. And it's an opportunity for me to meet international people that are connected to similar projects, so it's very nice. And I will step right into a project that we are already up and running with, and it started a little bit over a year ago. And we will first just go to some typical problems that is something we focused on before starting the project. Because in Sweden we have developed e-services and those 24/7 solutions for almost 10 years now, and still we have some typical problems that the citizens feel that they run into when they step into the web. And that is, of course, that a lot of those e-services are developed like sort of from an inside-out perspective instead of outside-in. So that means that each organization presents their own portal with their own solutions, and there is no connection to other services. Typical Swedish kind of thing. And then, of course, we have a lot of citizen needs that never comes through in the solution. So there is also difficulties to combine services from the public sector with non-profit organizations and also with private companies. So they are playing like on different arenas, like the public sector usually moves much more slowly than the private sector, and there is a big gap between those sectors. And then we have the issue that is a struggle for all kind of public organizations, and that is something that has to do with security. And this means that the citizens always end up with finding passwords here and there, using this kind of security solution for one site and another one for the next site. So this is how it looks, at least in most Nordic Baltic countries. We have a lot of services available from different parts of the society, like the state, the schools, the municipalities with the healthcare systems and so on. And the citizen has got to find their own ways through the web to find the right services, and this is becoming a big struggle. So the idea behind this project that we call the Citizen eHub is that we want to see this in a wider perspective and also make it possible for an easier way to interact with all the solutions that already exist. And it should be easy, as they said from the Swedish government, as easy as possible for as many as possible. That is the issue. So we have to solve this in a good way. And that's why we wanted to turn it all around and say we do this from the citizen's perspective, and we try to facilitate all the new solutions that are available, like today we all have our smartphones, for example. That's the way to go. So we will not replace existing services. We will not compete with those big projects that are already running, like the one we heard in the morning here from Växtverket. That's something that should continue, of course. This is something that will go on top of the rest of the solutions. And of course, here we have the sponsors. It's a project that is sponsored by Nordforsk and Vinnova, together with Rannis and the Ministry of Economics in Estonia. So, this is a typical situation. We have a family that is consisting sometimes of mother and father, but it could be other ways too, of course. And we have a school situation here. I don't know if I have a pointer here, so I can use this one. Okay, here we have children at school. We have children playing, maybe through the sports club and so on. And then we have the healthcare system, and singing in a choir in the evening, maybe. And taking the public communication system and training, all kind of stuff. And of course, Facebook and Twitter. This is the normal family situation. And today, the solutions that are provided by governments don't really support this kind of setup. This is a mix of all kind of situations that occur in my daily life, and that's what we want to support with a twist around solution, should I say so. Here is the partners represented. There is Stockholm, of course, is a famous city that you all know about, and then we have the Reykjavik city and city of Tartu. These are the main cities that are involved in the project, and they will also support us in implementing the solution in the real life, so to speak. This means that we will be able to reach around 3 million users from the start. And then we are 3 providers of e-services, Fujitsu, that I represent, and then we have IDEGA of Iceland and Cybernetica from Estonia. And then there is 2 institutions, you know, of course, the e-government academy in Estonia, that's familiar to you. And then we have the University of Linköping also represented here that will take a part in this project. And for the security part, we also use a good provider of security solutions called Nexus, that they are also administrating the IDs in Sweden, so that's a good partner. And I'm the project manager of the whole project. This is how it is today in the Nordic Baltic countries. We have a very good infrastructure, of course, depending on that we have both Nokia and Ericsson in our countries that have developed very good networks. So there is a high and very good efficient internet. And the high level of smartphones and pads, and also we have a good access to existing e-services. So we have all things in place. And of course we have, as you say, I think Sweden is among top when it comes to smartphones in the world. So today you can see kids like 10, 12 years old, and they all are using iPhones and similar phones, Androids. Citizen eHub is supposed to be used on a daily basis. So it's something that you could use every day to just keep your family together in a family calendar or activity center, so to speak. The citizens decide themselves how to design and use the eHub. So it's something you could configure yourself and set it up as you like. And before going into this, rushing into the situation where we are today, we did some profiling, and we looked at the typical users of the Citizen eHub, what they do for a living, what kind of activities they have in the evenings, and what they like to do as a hobby, and so on. And then we found out that it could be very different from person to person. Like this Janne, 46 years old, he's a churchman. He likes to go to church and sing in the choir. He's into sports a little bit, and also likes to read books, so he's on Amazon. He's working in an insurance company, and of course he has got an internet bank and so on. So this kind of profiling helps us to define how this Citizen eHub should work. And it's, of course, the same when we come to this girl here, Helen, she's 53 and she's a teacher. And of course she has different demands than Janne. And then we go into Emma, who is 19. She's of course always using Facebook. That's the #1 issue. So we did this profiling in the project in an early stage just to find out what the needs are for the citizens before starting discussions about technology and stuff like that. And the thing is that technology today is already existing. So when we go into the discussions of how should this really work, we found out that almost all things already exist. We don't need to invent the wheel again. Almost all countries in Europe have a very good infrastructure for how to identify themselves and how to build databases and everything like that. And this so-called SOA architecture is implemented almost everywhere. So what we do is just that we put a block on top of existing solutions. And in this block, we need to use, should I say, 3 different layers. We need to have a service bus that could take care of all the message traffic and security. We need an onion to improve maybe some business processes and so on, and also functionality level where we can add things for the user, like, for example, producing apps for Android and smartphones like iPad and iPhone and so on. So this means that we are already in a stage of being able to deploy. This means that things are existing in a way that makes it possible for us to put these things in place. You see here we have to create a single sign-on solution, and all those single sign-on solutions are already existing, but from different should I say, different companies. And in this case, Nexus is providing the single sign-on solution for Sweden. And then in Estonia, they have the smart card that works already, so we could use that. And in Iceland, they also have an ID that is working all over the country. And the challenge here is that we can, at least technically, we can use each country's ID for the same solution. But the only struggle we have now is if we want to exchange data between the countries. And I think that was an issue that you were discussing earlier today also. How can we build trust in this? And how can everyone that goes into the Citizen eHub feel that the information is secured? But of course, this is something that the security companies are looking into. And, well, you see here, Facebook is a very important part of this, and you can have a personalized case log, service catalog that will show all the services available for yourself. And also, of course, you can connect it to private companies that need to show their services also. So this is just like a place where you can configure your own site or set it up on the web or use it in an iPhone. So here you see the first, should I say, prototype that we started up to maybe 1 month ago or so, just to show that it's possible to do it. We used existing solutions in Iceland to show that we can connect the Citizen eHub to different providers of solutions into one interface. And this is something we now, in the next stage of our project, will make, should I say, apps for each kind of mobile system. So today we have a portal that could use as a prototype, but that's all for the moment. And as it is now, Vinnova gave us money for coming 3 years, so we will continue the project and go live with it. Very interesting. So this means that there is an opportunity for other Nordic, Baltic countries as well as other European countries to have a look at our project and of course maybe also join us and see if we can spread these solutions to more countries than just Sweden, Iceland and Estonia. So that's about it. Questions?
Thank you, Urban, and thank you for your knowledge meant that Vinnova has funded you. But it's not Vinnova alone. That's so special with your project,
yes.
that it has you have been funded in an international call with a common pot. That doesn't exist as far as I know in Europe. And so therefore we also thank the Nordic Council of Ministers and the RANIS in Iceland and the Ministry of Economics and Communication, Economic Affairs and Communication in Estonia. So we are 4 partners putting together a budget for these projects. And we just announced the winners in the second call the other week, 6 new projects. We will leave the floor for any questions. I will ask you a question, because
yes.
there is so much discussion also about this user and who is a citizen, and you have this profile. But how this is your development of this project connected to the ideas of having my page that several governmental offices or agencies are thinking about, that each citizen should have a my page where you have all your connections to the local municipality and the agencies?
Well, you could say that this is a further development of my pages, because my pages is usually created for specific services or a group of services, but this is a layer on top of my pages. So you could say that all existing e-services could just plug into this hub. So it will really work like a hub. And the interface will be a standard interface. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So now it's open for questions. It might also be questions on how do you work on this kind of project, because it's not a European project. You have been members of European projects. You know how it is to work together with people from other countries. But this is kind of that in mini format. But you think that in Scandinavia or in the Baltic Sea region that you are different countries with different culture and different development and different funding. So it's as difficult as in an EU project. I don't know if you have any comments on that. And then please, if you have any more questions to raise.
Yes.
Question: what will be the first service to be launched, and how do you invite the citizens to use this tool?
Well, the first services will be implemented during 2012, and I got an email from Estonia that the city of Tartu is very anxious to do this as soon as possible. So I think it will be some services from Estonia. Yes. Together, of course, with the already existing services provided in the Icelandic solutions. So. Yes, yes. So
Please,
City of Tartu is a part of the project, and they will start develop services, yes.
Okay, please take the opportunity to ask about Urban, how we worked with one of the suburb cities outside Stockholm and how they managed to get awarded as the ICT municipality of Sweden, and how they put so much efforts into this e-services development. And
are you focused on
Nacka,
the Nacka 24 project? Yes, that's 6-7 years back when we developed the Nacka 24. And this is something that is a further development of that thinking, that we will really make it possible to integrate services like Nacka 24 and similar into this. And of course, we see a lot of future in the mobility, because mobility will be, I think, in the future, the replacement for our computers. So the computer is moving into the mobile phone, and that's why we focus so hard on this hub.
nobody who has any reaction or comments. How do you feel as a citizen? Do you think this is something you can make use of? Is it personally or in your professional life, or is this useful to think in this kind of way? From the guy.
Well, if you ask me, of course, I would like to have it like
yes.
this.
But please, if you have any questions, you are welcome to the microphone. No? No no special. But Urban will stay on for the day.
Yes,
so.
I will stay on for questions. And
thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So now it's for our Polish colleague here. Please take the floor.
Okay, it's an easy audience after the lunch. So I like this Italian hands-free idea, so I understand that this microphone works, so I can use it. I will present you well, it's still an idea, and I will present it for the first time because I'm not involved in this project, but I will hope it will be as interesting for you as it was for me to go into that project. So it's another department in the Ministry of Economy that deals with that problem. And this is generally about the e-participation and the public consultation online. So the public consultation is something that has been done for years. That's how the legislation goes. So maybe some of you were involved already in the public consultation as an organization, or maybe as a citizen or entrepreneur, and probably everybody has a different idea how long should it take, who should be involved in that process. But just to help you understand how it goes in Poland, so there are a few documents. As you see by the dates, some are new, some are old. So the Council of Ministers has, of course, the working rules, and these rules are applied by the cabinets, by the ministries. And of course, well, it's not that obvious, but because the ongoing amendment of law in Poland, not only by accession to the European Union, but just by the demand of the publicity of the entrepreneurs, it's an ongoing process. So the Ministry of Economy has started the deregulation process. So in the better regulation frame, the Ministry of Economy has presented another documents that are helpful for the ministers, not maybe themselves, but for the ministries to prepare a better documents for them. So, and at the end, there is a technique how to prepare the act itself. So, there's that's the knowledge how to transform it from an idea to working act. Because when you in a spoken language, it means totally different than you interpret it from a law. So it's a quite heavy process, and especially during the consultation. So. This is the mapped process, how it looks. Not all the elements of this process, but I remember this process has been changed. So I'm supervising the act that describes the function of electronic signature. So we are still preparing this act under the old method. So we are preparing directly the act itself, and that was under the consultation. But from after that, it was changed. I think it's almost two years. So first you have to prepare the assumption, and then after the consultation, after the first draft of the law, then comes the process of transformation. So first, well, they try to make it more a business or economic model, and then to transform it into written law. So just to show the elements in let's say Zoom. So first you have as I mentioned, first you have this pre-legislative stage that is quite underestimated, because sometimes we just, well, who can involve the process of the legislation? That's important. Sometimes we get just a decision that must be done. It's a political decision, so the ministry the government executes the ministries, they execute the wish of the government. So it depends which ministry is dealing with each act, and then they prepare it, but they quite often forget about this stage that is very important to prepare smart goals. I like these American abbreviations because it's easy to remember them. I usually forget what's inside, but then I can refer. So SMART goal is a nice thing to remember. So it's a thinking process. So what will be the impact of this decision, how it influences the economical model, and so on. So it's a very important stage that's supposed to be done by experts, but that's the problem, that we don't have that much experts. So, okay, and the next stage that is quite heavy to do, and it's the responsibility of the government, is the impact assessment. So the regulatory impact assessment, it's of course a paper document that has to be prepared with the assumptions and goes along with the document, but then this is here you have the analysis, what will happen. So then you can decide what measures should be taken. It may be a regulatory, it may be an amendment, it may be a non-regulatory, just financial support, or maybe just promotion of some idea, or just wait and see, because when we're talking about lobbying, you never know, is that a problem of one person or is just a problem of community? But even if you take this information from Facebook, it's important that the government will react to and be aware and just check it if it's really a problem or not. But don't leave it, just be active, just react to what the citizens say. So this is a very important process in that manner. And then we go to a next stage, so legal act assumptions. So this is the final stage of preparing of the idea, what the act should actually do. And it's the first document that is formally adopted by the Council of Ministers, and then it goes, from now on it goes really serious. Yeah, it's already almost written law. So, well, and of course, then after the adoption of the Council, it goes then to the Parliament, but before that, just it goes to the next final stage, that the act itself, it's prepared. So, but sometimes, well, the government just prepares the document, just executes the idea, checks what's the influence. But sometimes even on the last stage, you can get information that something should be amended, changed, or probably the environment is changing. So the longer this process is, the changes are more probable to occur. So you need to monitor this process. So then again raises the question, shall we consult it again or not? How the small amendments are important. Sometimes you change just one word and yes, somebody can benefit from that. So, okay, so I've showed you this process on Zoom, and well, it was, my colleagues say that that's the ideal process. So now a little bit about the reality. So how to get this process done and have a quality, well, everything ends with a written document. So how to put what we've rethinked in a good and well understood idea by the decision makers. So and keep to the SMART goals, because quite often we forget what was on the beginning of how did it begin and why, and then we end with the act that you cannot even remember what was it for, especially if it takes a long time. So, well, here you have mentioned many problems that can occur, but let's see how, by experience, other countries deal with that. So it's quite important to have this impact assessment and well, try to make the extent economic analysis. If you remember, for example, the regulation of the roaming, just the impact assessment took the European Commission 2 years to do that. So it was a quite heavy job to be done, and then the decision was taken. Yeah? But still, it's a long process. So if you have a, well, not everything covers the economic problem. Sometimes it's a social problem. So sometimes it's quite heavy to have a model. Just you would try to check how it works. So then you can involve the monitoring, the ex post analysis. So then you can change somehow the loop of construction and functioning of the law. And you can, if you have a well-described process, then you have make it easier to construct the law, but then you have to control the quality, what's in that law. So that's how my colleagues went for a few years through that, and finally they see that now we have the tools that is just enough to use and to support our work, and how to deal with the consultations that have been done on paper. As you heard, some problems even occur with acts if are not well consulted. So how to do that online, yes, how to be transparent. So, well, no tools, or if there are any tools, they're just internal use in the organization, so they are not available for anyone, and it's quite heavy to make them interoperable, to connect them, yeah. So this is a idea, but it's this idea is quite well discussed. So next year, this time we can see the project working. So they will start the tests next year. So the projects. We have our methodology in the ministry. There's a project and process methodologies. We have two methodologies, but just we see the creation of ACT as a project. So you can apply that to creation of any bill, any act. So just how to optimize this process, how to make it transparent, and how to make things work parallel if they can. So, yeah, and how to work, and it's like any application that involves a group of people that's working on acts. So there are internal consultations in the government and external with the publicity. So there are three main goals. So the project approach. Then when you collect the information, so then you have the business intelligence system that you can analyze. So we had some problems checking on what happened with during the legislative process. So this tool also may help with that, or to construct a uniform document from amendments, and how to activate the range of participants, so in the government and outside the government. If it's made transparent, it's quite easy to do, and then we can say that the process monitors itself because others are watching what we are doing, so we are careful what we are doing with the acts, because everything will be seen online. So here's the model, how it goes from the idea, from the economy, the model, and how it goes to the law, so written rules, what should we do or we shouldn't do, just to keep to that smart goal, yes, to have some impact on the economy. And on the other axis, you see the structured documents, but there is a gap between those stages. So my colleagues decided just to put that tool that will bind all that stages. So this is the consultation, because the consultation is involved on any stage, and very important that everything will, even after the adoption of law, it will be online. You can see the history of that, and then you can monitor it ex post, how it works, and you can still collect consultations. Was it good or not? So then you can again start this process if a problem arises again, but you have the history, what has been done with the document, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel again. So if, for example, just people change in that process, you have a memory of that process, so you can just evolve, not go back. So there's the total quality management. Just let's close the loop. So just let's plan, do, check, enact, and again, and just let's get better and better. What's good for our country, society, and so on. So, well, this is the general model. Of course, this cloud, or however you call it, just the internet. And then, of course, we need some modules that can be, maybe it's not that interesting, but what's interesting that you can connect other applications, that data is available for reuse. So as we mentioned, any interesting application can be created, for example, monitoring the law process in other tools or on your mobile. So, well, my colleagues imagine that will be easy like Picasa doing, so the consultations online, just publish the document, so somebody puts his remarks and the other are commenting, and then the host of this act, well, responses to that, can we adopt it or not, just regarding the smart goal that we've set for this purpose, yes, because this act is supposed to solve a problem. So, well, of course, when we create the tools, they will be available as open source, so if somebody would like to create a better tool, it will be available for him. And of course, the interface to integrate it with the other. Well, and we have already some tools prepared just for analysis, problem solving, predefined forms and other tools for impact calculation, for example, that will be just given to the well, of course, the public, the entrepreneurs, the NGOs can use it, but what's most important, the other government bodies and the people that are working there can use it, can use this knowledge. And I would I didn't mention that because the regulatory impact assessment is so important, so there is ongoing training that is reaching the highest level, the decision makers, so they know how the process works, how their people work on everyday basis. But probably you can imagine when it goes to the decision maker, it's hard for him to read all that pile of documents, so he needs one page with the metrics, what is the impact of that. So this is, well, it's 4 simple steps that will be used to create a document in the application. So no restrictions, you can do whatever you like, but you will have warnings how will result your action, because it's actually it's a legal action with the preparation of the act to be adopted. Okay, so just to show you that my colleagues are really ready to launch it next year. This is the time framework, and this is a general idea. Well, it may look quite simple, but also quite tough to decide how to identify who is commenting and so on. So well, we have this platform that we can identify our citizens. So if somebody decides to use this tool, just use this governmental ID, and you can apply your comments, but they will be seen by everyone. So this is a specific reason to use that. And well, expected benefits, I mentioned many of them. Well, for example, this application will be open, so no silo creation. Any governmental body can use it, and probably will be forced to use it after the pilot project if it goes well. And I think that it will be quite easier to populate the information through the publicity, because it's quite often that we have a good law, a good amendment that will really help our citizens, but they don't know about this possibility. So I think this tool will help as well to propagate the information. What are the new possibilities for the citizens? So it will be easy to scale, and it will be connected to other systems, so you can connect other elements to the system, and I really hope it will work. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. But I'm a frank person. I'd like to say it's not interesting what you said. It's fascinating because this is a huge work. It's like what I tell my teenage daughter. Life is not funny all the time. You have to do some hard works at a time, because otherwise you can't build further these services and make the society better for the citizens. And I can't understand half of it. That's why it's interesting also, because you have something to learn. And I think this kind of project, it's very interesting to follow up and see what has happened within a year. So are there any questions? Because do you have any experiences of a project like this? Or can you understand the importance, or any comment? Or, well, because for me, I would like to see it again, really. Maria, please. You have the microphone.
Yeah, thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. I have more of a comment and maybe then a question. First of all, a comment. I think thinking through the whole process of integrating the steps along the policy life cycle is a very important one for enabling regulatory impact assessment and putting in the individual steps of the process, then also the public consultations. This is one of the aspects that many e-participation projects in the past have probably failed because they were not integrated in the participation process as you are thinking it through now. The comment or the question that I have, and so for this really congratulations, I look very much forward also to see the results in the end. I think you create a real good basis for tracing and enabling transparency and allowing impact assessment in the end. Now, the question is for me, you have stated there are no tools available. I think it was on slide 10 or 11. And then you have presented something. If I, coming back to e-participation, look at what is happening there, I would argue actually that there are tools available. So I was wondering whether you meant here in your arguments that your government is not using tools, or...
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, we don't have the tools that we are using because the tools are on the market.
So the question for me is then how much you have investigated the tools available, because for me a lot of what you are planning is more integration of individual bits and pieces of tools and of procedures rather than a fully new software development. I would be wondering how the tender would be looking like. You would be asking then for the integration of existing tools, or would you ask for new developments?
I have a colleague with me that is involved directly in the project, but as I know, yeah, we've discussed it because, well, I'm involved in other projects, other experience. He has his experience. They've been working for and analyzing for 2 years. What are the tools available? What do the other bodies have? What are they using? Yeah, but well, the tender will probably look that it will be not integration. It will be a new tool, but from existing elements. Yeah, so it's a just interconnection. Yeah, because we need some functions that we decided that are needed for this process. So just let us do that. Be open for further development, and that's all.
Okay, thank you very much. And I also would like to reflect upon one of your slides, and there are much information. And I could see the one line, electronic archives. And I know only that is a big project in itself, really, because one of the other Citizen eHub that Urban presented was one of the Nordic-Baltic projects that are running and will continue to run in a second phase. But we also have one on electronic archives, and I know it's very difficult. I worked with it, had another project many years ago. So that's one little bit of it. Then it's so much that has to be created or linked or whatever.
Yeah, but we make it with the corporations.
Please.
We make it with the corporations, with the National Legislation Center. So, well, they have already launched this archive. Mm-hmm. So we just need to connect it, and just will support the process of creation and the history about the consultations. But the signed act itself will then go to the... So we'll keep more the track of records than the act itself. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I mean, you said you were going to replace one of your colleagues, but you are so you can answer all the questions. So I think you were the right person to be here, really, maybe. But we have a few minutes for one or two tiny small questions. Yes, please. Please say your name.
My name is Philip Muris. I'm from Belgium. So we're a country without a government, so very much triggered by an application that builds legislation under itself. Two questions. One, what's the added value of politicians in the whole exercise? And two, it's not about building new legislation, it's also about assessing existing legislation, sometimes out of date, contradictory legislation. How do you plan to proceed with that?
So please, a quick answer, or two quick answers.
Yeah, maybe. Exactly. Very quick answer. So, well, the Deputy Prime Minister is as well the Minister of Economy, so he's supervising this process. So, if he lets us to do that, so they probably have an interest to do so. If this process will be transparent for the politicians, so they will be certain that what they've said was done by the administration. So that's one point, because finally, at the final stage, they're able just to read one piece of paper before deciding yes or not. They don't read the whole document, they just trust their undersecretaries, yeah? And the other thing that you've mentioned is actually we are now during the constant process of amendment of the law. So actually this tool will help us more to do now the amendment, and because the impact assessment takes some time, so it will be the next stage.
Thank you very much. I think we will leave the floor now for Maria Wimmer. And you will talk about another EU project, I believe it is, called eGov Polynet, building a global multidisciplinary digital governance and policy modeling research and practice community. And you have a long experience of this policy modeling, and it's a long title of your presentation. But please, Maria.
Thank you. Thank you, Madeleine. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I'm very pleased to introduce you to a new initiative that, yeah, can you? Sure, sorry for the technical troubles. So I'm very pleased to introduce you to our new project and initiative that has been funded from the European Commission, eGov Polynet. It's in the 7th framework program of ICT. And there in the priority topic on ICT for governance and policy modeling. The project as such is an international coordination activity. So we are not doing basic research. We are setting up a community in our initiative. Now it's working. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. So now that the technology is working, this initiative is setting up an international community on ICT for governance and policy modeling. Why is that needed? And I'm very grateful that I'm now after the speech of Sebastian and Christoph, because this gives a very good example of such policy modeling or legal modeling participation projects that are around, but each is doing on its own in terms of this project, finding out potential solutions, finding out how policy development could be supported with ICT, methodically supported, and so on. And in our initiative, we try to bring together an international community that helps to share the knowledge about these processes, about the tools available, grounded theory on that, and about the cases in practice, to share the experiences, to share lessons learned about what went well, what did not run so well, and to try to bring together experiences also from different disciplines. Why do we need such an initiative? Here I would like to share with you some of the current challenges that we have to address and that we focus and experience in our current environment by dealing with economic and societal variability. On the one hand, we have to face complexity in strategic planning. When we discuss about legal planning or policy development, it's not about one particular aspect that we have to plan. It is a set of aspects that interrelate among each other. It's social aspects, it's procedural aspects, legal aspects, cultural aspects, it's preferences of people, it's the people themselves, and of course it's also partially technology. And how the individual aspects relate to each other is an aspect of complexity science or complex systems that we have to understand. And what we perceive currently is especially the inability of managing such complexity in strategic planning and policy making. What we also perceive, and there is a trend towards opening up through the initiative of open government currently. We see, and the Obama administration has already been mentioned before in the previous session. On the other hand, open link data, open government data is another initiative that is going in this direction. But the concept of open government is not new. It has been mentioned in an OECD study and in EC documents already in the beginning of 2000s. And there were open government